Hi Malika.
Hi Harley.
Hi everyone listening.
Hi guys.
Welcome back to season 3 of Sonder and Soul, the weekly food podcast about the magic of eating. Hello.
Hi.
Where you been?
I've been about, I've been here.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time
chilling.
together.
Yes.
We actually haven't been offline for that long.
It feels like ages since we last recorded. That's probably why it feels like that. But it's been like
a month?
3 weeks?
Yeah,
a month?
3 weeks a month. Welcome back everyone. While we've been away, we've been working on stuff. We've had a few things happen, which we're going to talk about this episode in our highlights specifically.
Exactly.
But while we've been away, we have had some new listeners, which is great. Thank you so much to people who have found the podcast while we haven't been uploading, and people that have been listening or catching up anyway. I know some people were quite behind. So we have a new country joining us over our break, which was Bulgaria.
Zdrasti.
Okay.
I'm trying my best.
We're trying our best. It's all we can do at this point. So welcome absolutely everyone. If you are new and you're enjoying the podcast, please do subscribe on whichever platform you listen to. That's super, super helpful. And also leave a review if you're enjoying it.
Yes. I think we're on like 4.9 thousand Spotify.
Yep.
Yeah. And strong 5 out of 5
on Apple.
On Apple.
Correct.
We love the written reviews.
Yeah.
With the context on Apple. So if you are listening on Apple, please leave us a written review. Let us know where you're from. And what you love. Yeah.
I think we said last time we were going to do a poll of where people are from on Instagram specifically.
Yeah.
So we probably will run that this week just to get a gauge where everyone's from. Make sure everyone's still out there. Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Charlemagne, are we live?
So update as well now. Other places you can find us. So we are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are up to date on YouTube.
And we're on Twitter.
And we're on Twitter.
Yeah.
Every single YouTube video is up. If you are someone who knows someone that was like, these girls are barely putting up their YouTube episodes, they're up. Every single episode of season 2 is up. And we hopefully will be able to, due to a couple of company restructures, we've got a formula now.
Oh yeah.
That should be able to keep us up to date. Global restructure.
Yeah.
Just between Malika and I, we are the company. That should help us stay up to date with that. So thank you so much for rocking with us. A hub for everything that we do now exists.
That's what we were working on.
That is what we have been working on, and that is our website, our brand new website.
It's so cute. It's so beautiful. I love it.
We are pretty proud of it. We made the entire thing ourselves. It took us many, many hours.
Yeah.
Couple of code formulations, a couple of embed situations that we had to.
Apparently, I should put all of that stuff on my CV.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I was
website
told.
builder. Fair enough.
Coder.
That is at sonderandsalt.com. Where else would it be?
Yeah.
sonderandsalt.com. Please check it out. Drop us a DM, drop us a tweet. Let us know that you've seen it. Let us know that you like it. On there, you will also find that we now have a newsletter.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so much going on.
There's so much going on.
Oh, gosh.
We missed you guys, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We've got a newsletter now, and there is a sign up for the newsletter if you just scroll on the homepage. We're basically going to be doing the newsletter monthly, so we're not going to be flooding your inbox with things all the time. But if you do sign up in the next 2 weeks, you will be, well, at the point of this being published, you will obviously receive the first one. We can't promise that we'll be able to like catch up. If you miss the mail out, you miss it.
Yeah. So the sooner you sign up, the better. Because we're not backdating anything.
We're not backdating anything. No. It's not a magazine. There won't be any other previous issues
there will not.
No, that's
and it's gonna have exclusive content, dropping gems, sharing bits and bobs. It's gonna be beautiful.
Yes, a lot of the behind the scenes of how we actually do this thing.
Exactly.
Which involved me just now crawling across the floor because we've got new microphones.
Can you tell?
I think that's all the housekeeping out of the way. Nothing much has changed around here for the structure. So, food highlights.
This highlight is our joint highlight.
It's our joint highlight.
We had an amazing opportunity. We were invited to the American Embassy for an Oxford Cultural Collective / Visit California event. It was a panel discussion. Amazing, 6-course meal that we had. Yeah, it was about a 6-course meal.
So on the panel discussion was Melissa Thompson, everybody's fave, our fave, your faves faves. Samin Nosrat, author of Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. We discussed that.
Season 1, episode 5, which was Salt and the Curse of All-Purpose Seasoning, but we used the book as the basis of the discussion.
Yes.
So it's really interesting to listen to if you've never watched the Netflix series.
Yep. There's a 4-part
or got the
Netflix
book.
series.
Yeah.
And she was on the panel primarily as like a bridge between UK and US food culture because she's Californian. I think she said she was Iranian American.
Yes.
Her background. Also on the panel was Asma Khan, who is the restaurateur and founder of Darjeeling Express, which is a all-female kitchen brigade restaurant. Everyone in that place.
She's also got a Netflix Chef's Table episode.
She does. She does. And also Jimmy Famuera, who is the author of Settlers, which is coming out in paperback soon. And also the restaurant critic for the Evening Standard.
Restaurant critic.
Yeah, so all people that we were already aware of. Not everybody was aware of us, so that was nice to kind of mingle. We were in the room with amazing people
doing different things in food. People growing meat in labs. People that were on like educational boards and deciding the content and the scope of different master's degrees
within food, hospitality,
publicists.
Yeah, literally all sorts of people. So if anyone met with us that evening and is our listening to this podcast. Hi, it's us again. It was honestly such a lovely evening, but as you said, we had a 6-course meal, so I'm just pulling up the menu that we had. So the dinner was at Darby's.
Yes.
Which is a restaurant just across from the US Embassy, but it was dinner basically hosted by Salmon.
Yeah.
I'll list through the things and you do the descriptions and we're also going to put together a reel which should probably be out by the time you listen to this episode of the visuals of all the things that we're talking about. So, Darby's. Shall I use the Mark Spencer's voice?
Go on. And also, must say, open kitchen, absolutely beautiful.
Oh, the restaurant itself was absolutely beautiful.
Lovely centerpiece bar.
Yeah.
bar. Lovely centerpiece bar with lights. It wasn't too dim.
No.
It was a darker decor, but it was well lit inside. Floor to ceiling windows.
And upstairs they had did they call it a hanging room? Where all the meat was. They had a massive wine cellar. Yeah. Like where the bathrooms were, which we didn't see until we were leaving.
Yeah.
But amazing restaurant. And I want to go back there on a normal day.
Yeah, for sure.
So up first we had Carlingford oysters, classically dressed.
Right, so actually Harley didn't have the oysters.
That's the only thing I didn't try.
The oysters. I have never really been a fan of raw oysters because I was told to swallow and not chew.
As was I.
Apparently that it's fine to chew them, and I chewed them and it was lovely. I have to be so honest. The dressing was like traditional like vinaigrette type dressing, but I'm pretty sure it had some kind of nori or seaweed on
it.
top.
Yeah.
It wasn't too sharp, really balanced, lovely, really lovely. Also, on a side note, somebody did come and tell me on Instagram that, why are you eating oysters? It's out of season. But rock oysters are available all year round.
Okay, so, and that's what we had.
That's what we had because they do focus on seasonal.
Yeah, that restaurant particularly does. The head chef there, Robin Gill, I think his name was. I think it's been Robin Gill. He spoke us through a little bit about the restaurant before we actually tucked in, which was nice because, I mean, I've been to a few food restaurant events over the years where like it's been a takeover and you hear from the exec chef, but not in a long time. Not since like pre-COVID.
I love all that kind of backstory. Yeah. What's the ethos behind the restaurant?
Exactly. And him saying that he shops primarily in like Billingsgate, Smithfields, Spitalfields, like all the key London markets. Keeping it local, keeping it seasonal. So yeah, the things that we're talking about may not be on the menu there, or they might be on the menu right now. Yeah. But as this was a curated menu with Sam and Nosrat, it's highly unlikely you're going to get exactly the same thing. But our other little starter nibble was Shrub Provision Summer Crudité. Yeah. With smoked cod's roe or toasted sunflower seed miso. So we actually got the cod's roe on our table. Yes. We didn't have any vegetarians, I don't think, on our table.
No, I don't think we did. Which is why we didn't get
which is why we didn't get that. And I did try this. I had a radish in it. I will say I was being brave. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm pretty good with most food, but because I started eating fish late in life, some fish to me is still a bit fishy. Okay. Like some certain things are still a bit fishy. And
like cod's roe.
I'm getting there. So I tried it. Yeah. It was giving tara masalata.
Yes, I was gonna say it tasted like tara masalata. I actually liked it. I will say some of the crudities. Crudites. Yeah. I was better off with just like celery and cucumbers. Yeah. I really liked that, but the actual cod's roe, I liked it. But I like tara masalata once I forget that it's fish eggs.
Yeah. Well, I
You didn't like it, honey.
I didn't hate it, but I liked the radish. Like, I liked what I was going through. I liked the crudites.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the biggest fan.
Yeah.
But
you only had one.
yeah, but I didn't spit it out.
No, you
like,
didn't.
I finished the thing because I had the first bite and I was like, I don't think I like it.
Yeah,
But I finished.
Okay.
I finished my crudite. So that's fine. Next up, Cantabrian. I don't know, I'm an uncultured swine. Anchovies on toast.
Fantastic.
So this just sounds so much simpler than it really was.
It was fantastic. I think it was my favourite dish of the night just because it
Anchovies
surprised
on toast.
me.
It was a rectangle, probably not even the length of our thumb, of little toast. And when we walked in the restaurant, this is actually what I saw that they were preparing.
Oh, really?
I saw all these sheets of bread coming on sheet pans. And I was like, what's going on? And it smelled like sweet bread. And I was like, okay, this is what's going
the
on.
bread itself, it was almost like it was soaked in some kind of
caramelized
liquid or something. It was so lovely,
and it was
the
just
saltiness of the anchovies, but they weren't the cheap ones.
No,
they were like, it had like the salt kick to it, but by the time you had the bite, you got the sweetness of the bread first, and then the saltiness of the anchovy, and it was just such a balanced bite. I loved it.
I think I've told the story of my anchovies and Alison Roman thing I make with it. So I was brave and I ate the anchovy on toast and it was really good.
It was nice.
Like, it was really, really nice. I think I'm learning to understand how anchovies can be used and then actual anchovies. And I definitely think there was a difference with the ones that I've been buying. Well, the ones I buy in the tin, I think are so much better than the ones you buy in the glass jar, number one, anyway. Yeah. And then this was like the next level up. This was
like the glass jar ones are given tuna and water, and the ones in the tin are given tuna and olive oil type.
I mean, yes, they are both in olive oil, but I know what you mean. There's levels to this.
Yeah.
Brine.
Sorry. No, but literally you can get tuna in spring water. I think it's the most horrendous thing. In fact, you know what?
But the purpose of this whole evening was culinary diplomacy. So it was basically UK and US, how we can weave what we've learned about each other's food culture and experience of each other's food culture, like how people are doing it, particularly in California, and how we can do that here. So the next thing on our little menu was probably the most US-UK pairing that we had going on. And that was the Montgomery cheddar. I don't know how you say this word, Gouges, Gouge with accent RES. I'm assuming a French word. But one of them were Montgomery cheddar and pickled walnut. And the other were ham hock and goubine. Now, none of those things, if someone asked me what I had, would be the description. Okay, yes, cheddar on one of them. But the ham hock one was basically like hot dog flavor, which is like the simplest way of describing it. But there was a meatiness about it. It had this like mustard on top of it. It had pickle on top of it. It was just like...
It was like a mini hot dog croquette. It was good.
Yeah, it was like a mini hot dog croquette. And it was just so American in its flavour profile that when you had the other one, which was very just like sharp cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
Like
it's like a cheesy profiterole.
Very much. Look at our Instagram and have a look at the picture of these two things and you'll see what we mean. But it was such a nice little UK US thing of what we were experiencing. Next up, we had the baked Celtic scallop and seaweed butter.
That was so nice.
So good.
Yeah.
I was a bit concerned when it came to the table because it was looking a little raw.
It looked like it was that scallop ceviche at one point.
That's what my mum asked when I showed her the picture. Yeah. But because it was baked, I believe, in the shells, it was like the butter was cooking it from the bottom up. I tapped it with my knife and it was like...
It was literally like butter and butter.
It was
soft.
Incredible. I don't know what it takes to get a scallop like that, but...
And I saw someone on another table. They didn't even finish it. I was so upset.
We were looking at some other tables and we were just like, what's going on over there?
How are you wasting this? Yeah, I really like that. That was good. Probably second to the anchovy toast. Oh, the scallop would be second to the anchovy.
Is your favourites? Yeah.
Yeah.
Our main was a lamb dish. So Colne Valley lamb rack, and then we had in a little pot shoulder and potato hot pot with young shallot, and then we had a side of fresh peas, baby germ, and lemon, which was really, really, really nice. And then the vegetarian option on here was braised butter beans, which someone on our table I think did have
by
for
accident.
some reason. Yeah, which it still looked really good. Yeah. It was like came with artichoke, courgette, and basil salsa verde. So just these genius combinations of just fresh vegetables.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken before about our love of vegetables and how a good vegetable, simply done, well done, in season is just
fresh. Because on a side note, I went out recently and I had like, it was a sushi restaurant, stir-fried broccoli, and I could tell when the broccoli hit the table that the broccoli was old. First of all, and you could taste that the broccoli was old. It was such a shame. But when it's like the product is fresh, it's got a particular texture and taste before it literally starts to die. Yeah. And that stuff, they literally just pulled it out the ground.
At one point, I think there was a gap between the previous courses and this course, and we were like, okay, so are they going to get the lamb now?
Yeah, literally.
Or what? And when it landed on our table, we were like, oh, they did.
Yeah. No, that lamb was good. The shoulder hot pot, could have done without it. Personally.
Oh, I loved that.
Did you really? Yeah. I just felt like I don't like potatoes that are that crisp.
So to describe it, it was a very small cast iron, almost like a single serve cast iron pot, and it was like
scalloped potatoes
around the edge, and then just a stew.
It was like
almost.
It was kind of pulled. Yeah, it was kind of pulled. So it was chunky pulled, but it still wasn't. I preferred the lamb rack, the sliced lamb rack with the baby shallot,
which was medium rare.
Yeah, it was cooked perfectly.
I thought it was cooked perfectly. I think the lady that was sitting next to me, I was glad I had mine and not hers.
Oh, okay, hers was a bit under.
Hers was a little bit under for me. I'm a bit new to this whole pink flesh thing.
So you were one of those people that was shaking tables?
Yeah. Oh
gosh.
Yeah.
Every day you upset me. In fact, you get well done steak.
I don't eat steak.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's the thing as well. Because it's only lamb that I would eat that could come rare. Or duck, actually. Duck I'm fine with because usually duck is so small.
Yeah.
I believe it's cooked.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to get heat through duck. But with lamb, I think I had my first rare-ish medium lamb at a restaurant at the start of this year. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a big girl. We're in a fancy restaurant. I'm just going to do it. And I'm glad I had that experience. Because at least now when this came, we were surrounded by strangers. I was like, I eat like this all the time. Yeah. This is fine. Absolutely fine, darling. So that was our food. And then our dessert that came was a fig leaf and bay panna cotta with Kentish strawberries and elderflower.
That was really good.
Quintessentially British.
Really, really good. I like that. Didn't have like mint leaves, fresh mint leaves.
It did, which is again not described. Like everything we had isn't on this. For example, the mustard isn't even mentioned on here. That were with the little hot dog croquettes. But the mint on there was great, and we were sitting there saying what kind of mint this was, because we haven't done an episode on herbs yet. But talking about like mint, I think people typically
English mint.
Yeah, people typically know there's a few. Like that the one that chewing gum's made of is not the one that you have a spearmint and all different types. But we probably will do a conversation about that. We did one on spices, which was season 2, episode 19. If you are interested in going back and listen to that, if you haven't yet, and herbs is gonna follow. We're gonna follow up with herbs for sure. I think that's everything about that evening. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you again so much to everyone who was nice to us and knew who we were, subscribed to the podcast, and our new listeners. What we're talking about today, season 3, episode 1. We decided to come back with a summertime bang.
Yeah, facts.
And we are going to be talking about barbecue.
Word on the road is...
Oh, go on.
Hold on. Word on the road is... Nobody's having barbecues.
Right.
And it's causing a bit of a stir. So we thought that would help you guys out by sparking a proper conversation about it, why it's important, and give you a couple of tips and tricks.
Yep.
And a bit of barbecue stuff. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so this is going to be as good a conversation as we know how to have.
Yes.
Barbecue, from our research, is a very complex thing. It's not as simple as what we in the UK necessarily know as barbecue. It's not really our thing at all. It doesn't come from here. It's got a very specific history. And we're going to cover as much as we can that we've been able to learn. And there's definitely room in this conversation to have a part 2. We've discovered some amazing people as we've been preparing for this episode that we would love to have on and just pick their brains about this. So this is a little disclaimer that we're doing the best we can with the information we got.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Barbecue. What is it, Malaka?
Right. So apparently from our research, barbecue is a specific way of cooking. In the UK, one of our sources said we generally use the term barbecue for pretty much any method of cooking meat outside over something burning, be it charcoal or wood, using direct, indirect, fast or slow, lid or no lid kind of tools.
That's very, yeah, UK kind of.
It's very UK. However, in America, barbecue means low, slow, and indirect heat is used. So they tend to barbecue foods using rubs, sauces in a pit, lower temperatures, very slowly. So it's like a kind of outdoor slow cooking method.
Practically. And I started watching this thing on Netflix. It's called Barbecue Showdown.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be doing some research on some like proper barbecue documentary.
Yeah.
I ended up watching a barbecue reality TV show basically. But it was so funny. If you haven't seen that on Netflix, Barbecue Showdown, it's just everything that you love about American reality TV, but about food. So definitely
I started watching
out.
Chef's Table Barbecue, which is
I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that.
Sorry.
I'm gonna get to that. But of the two judges on this Barbecue Showdown are Kevin Bloodsoe and Melissa Cookston. And he said something really nice about barbecuing and what he's expecting of the contestants, which was basically to be a master of fire.
Yeah.
Like the concept of being an amazing barbecuer. Like you said, you can do it direct, indirect, long, slow, fast, whatever. But it's actually to master fire, cooking with fire. Fire cooking.
Yeah.
And he said 4 of the ways that he suggested that his contestants could win him over would be to grill it, smoke it, fast cook it, or cook it on a rock.
Okay, cool.
So they were just like so many.
So then it's, I know that this is a bigger conversation, we'll probably get there. Hot stone cooking is considered barbecue also?
Essentially, because I think there's 2 other ways. Well, from my research, there's barbecue like BBQ.
Yeah.
Like the flavor of things.
Yes.
And then there's barbecue
BARBECUE
or QUE, and like the way we'll spell it. And that is like a verb.
Okay.
To barbecue. It's a word. Like that's a thing. So I think there's a distinction when you see places that use the word BBQ.
Yeah.
Or potentially the type of cooking or sauces that you'd expect there, especially in our country, versus the concept of barbecuing, being a pit master, being
I guess
a
that
grill
barbecue
master.
chicken wings are not always necessarily barbecued, but they have a barbecue flavour through the sauce and
you would probably see that as BBQ.
Yes, that is BBQ
chicken. That is BBQ chicken. That is not barbecued chicken. Okay. To barbecue, to have been on the barbecue.
Yeah. And
the passion that these grill master contestants basically have for what they're doing is like the specificity of oh no, this chicken, I'm gonna hang it in the trench and I'm gonna go and get my hickory and like
the wood chips and
so specific. But very top line.
Okay.
It's the cooking with fire.
Okay.
And to be a good barbecue master, to be a grill master, it's the mastery of fire.
Okay. So the action word barbecue comes from the Spanish word barbacoa.
Yes.
That is the historical context of it, which was derived from barabiku, another word, barabiku, which is found in the language of the Arawak and Taino people. And there's also the Timucua people as well, which is basically the people of the Americas.
And Cuba, right?
Yeah, and that is essentially the Caribbean
modern day
area.
Cuba,
Yeah, the around the Caribbean. So yeah, Christopher Columbus and them and they travelled to America and the Caribbean essentially when they were getting around town, and they witnessed. They will use terminology like discovered.
Yes.
But they witnessed these indigenous people cooking,
minding their business,
using fire to cook. You said you read something about fish on sticks.
Yeah, fish on sticks is what I read for in that area of Cuba, or that we now call Cuba.
They actually, it's so ridiculous. They actually, at the time when they were documenting it and documenting some of their findings, suggested that it was very barbaric ways of cooking and living, and even made reference to potentially they were cooking people. Like, wow. Yeah. Wow. You already know the history.
The less people Christopher Columbus could find, the better.
Exactly. But what I did get from my research is that that reminder, I guess, of that things like jerk chicken being one of like the oldest forms of, or one of the oldest dishes in Jamaica, and that essentially
how that happened
is barbecue or some form of barbecue. And there are loads of other different ways globally that people are cooking that is in the style of barbecue.
Yeah.
So there's various different ways globally
Mm-hmm.
that different cultures are utilizing the method of barbecue cooking, but it just has different names. So a few of the ones that we wrote down was braai, South African braai, I believe.
Braai. Yeah.
Braai, I believe is how you pronounce it,
Mm-hmm.
cooking. Churrasco, Portuguese, and Spanish name for beef or grilled meat.
Right.
Korean barbecue. That is one that has been... It's a bit more controversial.
Yeah,
I know
so
you read something.
I basically read that barbecue, BBQ, as a concept as well, is something that it's been westernized, and then we've used that to describe other people's ways of cooking.
Yeah.
So that Korean barbecue is a Western named concept, and that's why we've associated it with that.
Yeah.
So it is obviously fresh cooking, but there's also a difference between, I went down a rabbit hole of like teppanyaki, which is like cooking on a grill, and that's not barbecue. Like cooking on a hot, like, griddle basically is not barbecue, because you're not cooking on fire. You're cooking on heat, and it's fresh cooking, but you're not cooking on fire. And often I think some of those Korean barbecue style places are also not direct fire.
So are they not electric barbecues?
Girl, I didn't go down that. I didn't go down that road. But from what we've defined for this episode as barbecue into barbecue, we're gonna be talking about fire.
Okay.
I think, anyway.
Okay, so if you've got an electric barbecue, you're not really about that life. I think that's what.
Yeah, but there ain't no grill master out there cooking on an electric barbecue.
Wow.
Listen, even the gas barbecue is a whole thing, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Couple of other ones. Souvla.
Yes.
You love a bit of souvla,
I do love a bit of
don't you? Kebab as well. That's not the kebab that I love.
Not spongy
the
corned beef.
turning one on a stick. This is like actual kebab where they've got shish kebab.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also suya or ntaba. Ntaba is Congolese, I believe, and suya is like Nigerian grilled smoked meat, basically on a stick. And then jerk, of course.
Yeah. So some of the language that I discovered when we were doing this research, and if you watch any of those Netflix shows, either Chef's Table Barbecue or Barbecue, the barbecue competition Barbecue Showdown, whatever it's called, they talk about this pit barbecue thing a lot, which is technically the essence of what we're just talking about, the history of it. And I just want to read a definition of like what pit barbecue is. So pit barbecue is a method and or apparatus for barbecue cooking meat or vegetables buried below ground. Indigenous people around the world used earth ovens for thousands of years. So there's a indigenous way of cooking out of Australia as well, which involves cooking below the ground, because you can cook in the heat of the desert. So you can cook in the heat of the ground.
Is this how Aboriginal people
they originally cook? Okay. That's like a method of pit barbecue, which has been modernized to now you can build the pit above the ground.
Yeah.
So, but it's still basically that your fire is enclosed, and it's not the same as rotisserie over like on a beach or something like that. It's definitely just an enclosed measure of the fire, and that's what jerk is. So I kept going down rabbit holes. So there was just so much information.
But is it though? Because jerk is done like underground essentially? Isn't jerk?
No, but the fire is contained.
Oh, so
is
the
what I'm
fire
saying.
is
the fire is in this pit thing.
Okay, cool.
Just like modernizations of it, ways that have made it like more efficient, I guess.
Because if you want good jerk chicken, you do need to have distance between the chicken and the
fire.
Heat. And that's why if you use a jerk pan versus a normal barbecue, you can produce a completely different product because the heat is too close to the chicken, and therefore it's not cooking slow enough, basically, to retain some of that smoky flavor.
And then what is the difference between a barbecue pit and a grill? When you barbecue, you are cooking with a slow circumvented unit of hot air with the lid closed. Grilling is done with the lid up, and you're cooking with direct heat on the bottom instead of all around the sauce. So
and it's faster.
Pretty much what you've just said. Like if the heat is closer to the thing, you can cook it faster, the lid can be off. But if you want that heat to basically cook from the top, the bottom, the smoke to also penetrate the meat, lid down, that's a barbecue, baby.
Okay, cool. So a lot of the time, what we're doing in the UK is grilling food.
Yes.
When you got like your sausages, your hamburgers and those kinds of things that cook quite quickly, you're doing it over direct heat, like you said, Harley, and it's cooking very quickly. You're grilling that product.
Yep.
Whereas when it's recommended if you want to get good chicken, thicker cuts of meat, that you barbecue it, which is generally with indirect heat.
Yes.
It's lower, it's slower, and it's closed. Like you said, it's enclosed.
Yeah. And
that's why, sorry.
Go on.
People are trying to grill chicken on the bone and it's burnt before they're able to serve it because it's too much heat. You're trying to do it too fast, so the outside is cooking way too fast. The heat cannot penetrate all the way through to the bone, and by the time it's cooked through and it's safe to eat, it's burnt to a crisp. So you want to
black.
Exactly. Yeah, and it is just it ain't it. It's dried out because you're grilling it, and you want to save that grilling method for things that cook quickly.
Yep. Also, elephant in the room. Yeah. What we're trying to say is it means you can't barbecue on a disposable barbecue. Controversial, isn't it? You okay. By definition.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you
by
can't
definition,
barbecue. You are grilling.
You are grilling.
You're grilling. Fair enough.
Because that thing doesn't have a little lid.
Okay, you're not saying you can't use it, but you're saying.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not saying you can't use it. It's got a time and a place.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're not a pit master, and don't invite me over for a barbecue if it's just one of those on a grill, effectively. So with all that being said, there's obviously some element here of style of cooking. There's different regions around the world that do it in a particular way. But due to Christopher Columbus and the Mandem, Americans were some of the earliest people to like take this concept and then master it and niche down. Yeah. So there are various types of barbecue across America. And from my research, I've come to realize that my favorite type of barbecue is the Carolina barbecue.
What is that?
So the Carolina barbecue is typically South Carolina. There are 2 Carolinas, if you didn't know. So there are 4 regional barbecue styles in America, all coming out of the South of America, which geographically makes sense based on the journey that we're talking about. If the cooking style is coming from the Caribbean, coming into America, it's going to come in via the South. Barbecue also has a rich history in Black culture and how plantation workers would be able to cook their food, the availability that they would have. And I don't know which tangent I went down, but it was your favorite pulled meat, and basically how after a hog roast or any kind of full animal roast, which would be cooked for, you know, the slaves in the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but cooked for hours and hours, but it would be cooked for the house slaves and massa and everyone inside. What was left on the bone, because it was so slow cooked, they could pull the meat off of basically the carcass. Okay. And that is where like pulled meat comes from. But the original method of having cooked the whole thing was that it was barbecued. Now, obviously, we cook the entire animal or a joint of meat to pull the entire thing intentionally. Yeah. So all of these methods are coming through the South, geographically, historically, and culturally. And as I just said, the hog. So I think, I haven't tried them, but I'm going to, because I've been watching all of these barbecue documentaries and my mouth is just drizzling. I think my favorite is going to be the Carolina barbecue, because the Carolina barbecue is a hog roast. Everyone knows how I feel about our homegirl Peppa. Yeah. Peppa Pig, for everybody who don't know her. Delicious, sensational.
That sounds like a nightmare for me. Because that just sounds way too porky for me.
So you told me to watch Chef's Table Barbecue. Yeah. And I kind of skimmed over them, and I quickly Googled the names before I decided which ones I was going to watch. I think it was only like 4. Yeah. And I chose to go for the Carolina episode. So the chef's name is... I decided not even to write down, because I was like, I'm going to remember this. It's like Ronnie Scott's, like the jazz bar in London. I was like, Rodney Scott's Barbecue. And he's in South Carolina. He's in a place called Hemingway's, where he's from. And his dad was... A pit master. And he started learning how to basically take care of the hogs that they had at home, and even like felling trees and everything to master the process when he was 11.
Is it just pork?
Yes. Oh, God. So the culture is that it's around a hog. So that's what they do. And he now has, so his family restaurant is Scott's Barbecue. If anyone is making notes for where they need to travel. Yeah. Definitely 100%. It's in Hemingway though. And Hemingway is about 2 hours away from any other major city, and the major city is Charleston. Okay. So it's Muku. Yeah. It's in the middle of nowhere. But it was his family business, and he built it up, and then eventually, as an independent chef who tweaked his father's ways of cooking, he began to do pop-ups kind of like around America, and then someone took him under their wing and was like, you need to get out of Hemingway. Yeah. Like, this is a nowhere town. Yeah. But he couldn't like take apart what his family had built. So that still exists. Scott's Barbecue still exists. And he moved into Charleston and opened Rodney Scott's Barbecue. to maintain that they were two separate businesses, but that in this way he could do what he wanted without like upsetting his family and changing the traditions and things like that. So there are still two distinct places, and I need to go to both of them. And a crossover that I was learning from, there's a guy on the barbecue showdown called Big T, and he was like, the only way to do barbecue is mop barbecue.
Okay.
And this notion of making essentially like a vinegar kind of sauce, and you use an actual mop. Yeah. And Rodney says at the beginning of his episode, like, I don't go shopping where chefs go shopping. Yeah. Chefs go shopping in like wholesale hospitality stores. I go to hardware stores. I need axes. I need mops. I need like sheet metal. All of these things that to master pit cooking, which is not where culinary trained people are going to buy their equipment. But this mop thing that he does, it's absolutely incredible. But the process starts with a whole hog, split and place meat side down on this massive like grill, which they can basically access from underneath, so that as it cooks they can top up the coal in the area of the pig that it's needed. Okay. So he's basically saying how obviously certain areas there is more meat than others, so they'll put coal in specific areas under it, and the whole thing has a grill that comes down over the size of a pig. Wow. And it covers the whole thing, and he has 12. He has 12 stations to cook a whole pig. Yeah, you got to get there ASAP. But all of this, it just sounds so porky. Oh my God, I need it. But the thing is, I might enjoy it because I do love a bit of jerk pork belly. That's the thing. But so it's just too much. Sometimes if it's like the fleshier parts of the pig, I can't engage with that. Yeah, pig, I can't basically have that. But by the end of the episode, you see his menu. The main episode is about his story, and there's much more to it than what I've just said. But his menu, I think it was like Rodney's barbecue plate, is what you're talking about. Like it's almost pulled just meat, but barbecue, sensational flavor, cooked for a minimum of 12 hours. Yeah. Comes with like a bit of cornbread and a slaw and that kind of thing. But then he has other things on the menu, like ribs specifically. Mm-hmm. I think, like cubed cuts of meat. So it's not somewhere you're going to get like barbecue fish or like that kind of stuff. It's definitely Carolina based barbecue, but I need it. Okay. Is there any good places in London to get barbecue? Oh, that's above my pay grade. Okay. That's above my pay grade. Okay. We might do some research and put it in a newsletter. Just saying. Maybe. Just saying. One thing I would say is that I think Texas barbecue is the one that I don't think I've ever really experienced, and I lean away from because it's beef. Okay. So that's the brisket. Which one does chicken? Jamaica. Jamaica. The jerk barbecue, okay? Yeah. A lot of them, they're red meat focused. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, on the show, they give them the option of, they give them a meat larder, basically, and loads of them pick chicken. I can't specify everyone's cooking style and where, like, of the four barbecue ranges. So this is Barbecue Showdown. Barbecue Showdown. Okay. People were picking chicken, so don't get me wrong. These grill masters, like, these are awarded grill masters that are just fighting for a top spot. They are picking chicken to, like, prove that that is a meat that you need to be able to master on a grill. Mm-hmm. Just above my pay grade. We've spoken a lot about American barbecue without being American. Mm-hmm. Just out here. Just talking. So we decided to call up someone who actually knows what they're talking about, who cooks all the time, full time, and is, I'd say she's a grill master. I would say so. None other than Angela, the Kitchenista Davis. Angela is an American chef, food blogger, recipe developer, cookbook author, Patreon content creator, live streamer, many strings to her bow. Mm-hmm. That is the saying. Yeah, strings to her bow. She started her blog, The Kitchenista Diaries, in 2012. So over 10 years now she's been in the game. Yeah. She's also got a couple of playlists. Some of them are heavy hitters. I will definitely be linking some of those. She's into her music. She's into her music. If you don't follow her on Instagram and you've been listening to this podcast, I don't really know why, because we've shouted her out on a few occasions, especially on our Culinary Queens. Mm-hmm. So paging Angela to the front, barbecue, what it is.
Hello, my name is Angela. You all know me as the Kitchenista online. I founded the Kitchenista Diaries back in 2012. I'm just so excited to do this with you guys. I'm a huge fan from across the ocean. Barbecue is worth seeking out a good local butcher. You can throw all the spices you want on like meat from the grocery store and it still won't be a quality cut that had minimal seasoning. The meat is what you want to taste. Like that needs to be good quality, especially when you're getting into larger cuts like pork shoulders, leg of lamb, beef brisket. It's already such an investment of your time that it really just doesn't make sense to go cheap on the meat. You're actually cheating yourself in that case. Good quality meat tends to be very well marbled, and all of that fat is important to keep the meat nice and juicy on long smoke times. So, with a lot of grocery store cuts, pork in particular, the fat just isn't there anymore because it was literally like bred out. A lot of people tend to shy away from that, but the fat and the marbling is necessary for good barbecue. So, upgrade your meat. Find some other sources, go to a meat market, go to a butcher, and you really will see the difference.
There was the episode, I think it's the first one, on Chef's Table Barbecue, Tootsie Timonette's.
Okay.
I could be mispronouncing her surname.
Probably.
But Tootsie, she, at the end, when they kind of go through their menu and stuff, she did have like barbecue chicken on there.
Yeah.
And it looked quite nice, but it looks like, generally when they do chicken, it's like a barbecue type rub. And then,
Right.
That's just kind of about like a good grilled kind of chicken.
Good Nando's.
Basically.
So there are 3 areas that you can focus on to improve the flavor of your meat. And that's the barbecue rub that you use, the quality of your meat, and the type of wood that you choose. As far as the seasoning, it's a great opportunity to experiment, and you should absolutely take the time to create your own barbecue rubs. Play with your spices more and rely less on sugar and salt to get that flavor. I have a lot of spice blends that you can try from my recipes and cookbooks. In my experience, the spice rub has so much more impact than the sauce, which isn't always even necessary, but either way, the barbecue sauce should be like a finish to something that already tastes good rather than like covering up the meat or like just putting sauce on something that wasn't properly seasoned. So even with sauce, it's the same thing, like taking the time to make your own if you can, or doctor or store-bought sauce. I don't know how it is over there, but here in the US, like everything is so sweet, and sometimes that's all you can taste. I like more of a balance of spicy flavors, like savory spices. I use a lot of Mexican chilies. I like adding coffee to my spice rubs, things like that. So I tend to do the spice rubs and the sauce, like I make my own.
In those regional styles of barbecue, there are also styles of sauce. So as I mentioned, Rodney Scott uses this mop sauce basis, which I believe is a vinegar-based one. There are other sauces from the different regions. I know one is mustard-based sauces.
Yeah, we've got a little article from Southern Living.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we're getting the good stuff.
Yeah.
There's an American article, a publication called Southern Living, and they've detailed 10 award-winning Southern barbecue sauce recipes. We will keep these in the show notes.
Yes.
So there is a South Carolina mustard barbecue sauce, which is yellow. It's got 6 ingredients, slightly sweet from the brown sugar and honey, almost like honey mustard with a touch spicy from the cayenne and black pepper.
Yes, that's a bit of me. That's Carolina, right?
Yeah.
I gotta be there.
Eastern North Carolina vinegar barbecue sauce. It's only got 4 ingredients, mostly vinegar, requires no cooking and just a little bit of patience.
Yep.
Texas style barbecue sauce, which I think is probably one of the most popular ones.
BBQ.
That is like a BBQ sauce. Ketchup forward, slightly spicy, full of savory flavor thanks to the Worcestershire sauce and cumin. And I think that is the typical barbecue sauce that we tend to have. Yeah. Honey barbecue sauce, we know that's really popular. People love a honey barbecue sauce. Melting pot barbecue sauce. This recipe combines several regional barbecue sauces.
I don't know.
Alabama white barbecue sauce. Use this vinegary, piquant, North Alabama specialty as both basting and finishing sauce on smoked or grilled chicken.
Okay.
I've never had a white barbecue sauce before.
No.
Fancy barbecue sauce. Probably just got a bit of bougie stuff in there. Coca-Cola barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
I know that's quite popular.
Sticky.
Yeah. Coca-Cola is really good for sauces.
Because it's sweet.
Yeah, the sugar content and whatever else is in there. And it actually has a distinct flavour,
Yes.
Coca-Cola. Kansas City barbecue sauce.
One of the regional
thick
styles.
and spicy. Flavour from the chili powder and cayenne pepper. Pretty rusty orange colour that glazes anything.
There's just so many. I need them all.
Yeah.
I need all of them.
Yeah, and a sweet and spicy one.
So when are we going to the South? SOUF.
Jalapeno
South.
and crushed red pepper, sweetness from the honey, dark brown sugar. That sounds like a bit of me. We've got to put it on our list of things to do.
I
but
need that.
yeah, we'll link this down below.
There is also a whole nother world out there in terms of rubs, which honestly, I feel like you need to see it happen. You need to see when these like pit masters put their arm practically into this canister to mix together their salts, their spices, their seasonings. And we spoke a lot about brining. We spoke a lot about brining fish, brining turkey. We spoke about
Yeah.
as well, in like our seasonal Christmas episode, and how we cook meat with dry rubs and things. But this is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
This is just like the most incredibly
For me
complex but
personally,
simple cooking and flavorful method ever.
For me personally, for a good like barbecue or grilled anything, I like a combination of both. I like
Wet and dry.
Yeah, so I like for it to be pre-seasoned with a dry rub, kind of cooked lightly for a little bit, and then over time basted with some kind of sauce or wet
That's
rub
that
or
mop
something.
method.
Yeah, the mop method, definitely.
When it comes to marinating or seasoning meats before barbecue, I am a huge fan of buttermilk brines, especially for poultry. So, like with grilled chicken, it helps to tenderize the meat, and the salt actually penetrates all the way through the meat versus only being on the surface. Buttermilk also just adds a little bit more flavor, and it helps the meat develop a nice crust when it's grilled. Plain yogurt can do the same thing if you can't find buttermilk in your store. If nothing else, you can also just do salt and water. Some people add a little bit of sugar or maple syrup, but all you really need is the salt. For smaller cuts like wings or chicken parts, just an hour or two will do the trick. And if you were smoking something huge like a whole turkey, that's where you really need a whole day for a brine to fully work. So for other cuts, and when a liquid brine doesn't make sense because you do need like a huge container to do that, some people don't have the room in the fridge. A dry brine is my go-to method for pretty much anything. And that just means you're rubbing the meat down with your spice rub, which already has the salt in it, and it's measured out to be like exactly how much you need for that cut of meat, giving it plenty of time to get into the meat. Usually that's a few hours for larger cuts or overnight. It's different than just seasoning your meat and like throwing it right in the grill, because the salt hasn't had enough time to do its thing in that case. So with a dry brine, it's the time that makes a difference. And it can also just give your meat a chance to dry out on the surface, which helps get that nice crusty bark on the outside as it smokes. So a dry brine is like my go-to method for chicken, ribs, pork shoulder, things that you're like rubbing down with a nice seasoning anyways. A dry brine tends to just make sense because I can get it all done in one step. But I do love a good buttermilk brine, so when I have the time for chicken in particular, I'll go ahead and do that first. And then I'll season it after it comes out of the brine, like wipe down the meat and pat it dry. And then it's like you're starting from the beginning, and you still want to go ahead and season it with spices. But at that point, you can cut down on the salt that you're using because it's already salted like inside the meat. There tends to be like this big misconception that a marinade, like you can just throw meat in a bag and add spices and garlic and onions and like all of these things and herbs and lemons, and like the more that you add, it's only penetrating the tiniest fraction of like the surface of that meat. Salt is really the only thing that's getting all the way through to the interior. So I always tell people, just brine your meat with salt and whatever rub that you were going to use in the first place, and save all of those ingredients that you were going to use in your marinade, and make that your sauce, make it a glaze, or make it like some kind of basting oil that you're going to finish your meat with. But don't waste it in the marinade from the beginning, because just so little of that really penetrates the meat.
One of the things we haven't really covered here is charcoal or gas. So our experiences are, well, mine is with charcoal.
Yeah, I use lump charcoal.
And with
Big K, that's a brand.
Oh,
they tend to use it in like Turkish restaurants.
Yes. The black bag.
The black bag. It's like black and red, and I think it's got like a white logo. That's the one that my brother buys, and I think it's really good.
Yeah, but cooking over charcoal, I've never had, in my family, we've never had a gas barbecue. So I know it still obviously produces fire. Yeah. But it's just not something we've done, like buying canisters of gas. I think
charcoal is better.
The type of wood that you choose also matters for flavor if you're smoking meat. Fruity woods like apple wood or cherry wood tend to be great for most things on the grill. Pecan wood is another one that I really like. All of those will be more subtle. They tend to be like all-purpose wood, so I tend to keep that around because then I don't have to think about it. Woods like hickory or mesquite are going to be stronger, and they work better for like beef as an example. Whereas if you were grilling something really delicate like seafood, that kind of wood would be totally overwhelming. So choose the right wood. Make sure that you purchase the kind of grill that actually fits your lifestyle. So I recommend learning on a traditional charcoal kettle if you can, because it really forces you to learn a lot of proper techniques up front. But charcoal grilling requires close attention. It takes time to light the grill, always. It's going to be more dependent on the weather. It can be very messy. And depending on where you live, some buildings don't allow you to have open flame nearby. So if you can't do the charcoal grill, or you know that that's probably not for you, my recommendation to cooks who are looking for something that's more low maintenance is, if you can, to invest in a pellet smoker and get one that can also grill at high temperatures. Pellet smokers work more like ovens in that they're electric and you can control the temperature with a dial, or a lot of them have like touch screens at this point. And that way you don't have to know like the mechanics and the physics of how a smoker needs to work and how you need to adjust the air vents. Like that is a learning curve. And I think it's important to know that if you plan on pursuing this as a legit hobby. But if you were just learning to barbecue because you want to have like, smoked meats to put on your table this summer, a pellet grill is probably something that makes more sense. You can set the temperature and it maintains that temperature for hours without you having to manipulate it. You can control it from your phone. Like mine has Wi-Fi connection, so I can adjust the temperature. I can check my timers, that kind of thing, from indoors without having to go back and forth outside. And it runs off of wood pellets, so you do get that nice smoky flavor. It's not as robust as charcoal, but it's nice. Like you can still get a really good flavorful cut of meat that way. But it's a very straightforward process. I think you have to like decide, am I wanting to learn how to be a pit master, or do I just want to eat barbecue food? And either of those answers is okay, but you want to pick the right grill that will get you there.
So how would you feel about barbecuing watermelon?
I feel like you've just got left. You guys know how I feel about certain things. And I think the thing is, barbecued fruit, in terms of just grilling fruit for flavour, temperature.
Peaches.
I'm definitely all for that. Even like fruit kebabs, and then you like, my mum used to do this when we'd have barbecues at home, where she'd make like skewers with mango, pineapple, strawberries, and then baste it in almost like a syrup, and like brown sugar and stuff, and it almost caramelizes. I love that. That's amazing. Watermelon as a barbecue steak alternative, it's not a bit of me.
No,
not
even a little bit of paprika.
No, because I just think there's enough. I think I've said this before. There's enough vegetables and other alternatives out there that you can really appreciate over some kind of smoke and fire. I love anything that is cooked with smoke and fire. Anything with crispy bits, grilled, whatever. I think broccoli is really good on the barbecue. Mushrooms are really good. Aubergine. Even like potatoes. Are really, really good as well. Peppers.
One of the ladies in Barbecue Showdown, her style of barbecue, she ties in her heritage, which is German. So when she's cooking over the actual fire, she puts the whole potatoes in the fire. And it's the style of German, like, pit cooking, basically, for these potatoes. And I was like, that's genius. I need that.
So it will taste amazing. And you just kind of peel the skin off, and then the potato, because potatoes are so absorbent, it will just absorb so much flavor in like the meat of the potato, as you could say.
Incredible. So there's no watermelon at your barbecue?
No.
What is there at your barbecue? I've seen some things on the internet, discussion amongst the diaspora, regarding whether or not there should be rice at a barbecue.
Personally, no, it's not necessary. I've had birthday parties where people expect me to have some kind of rice dish, because there is no party without a pot of curry goat. And to offset that, you always need a bit of rice. However, if I'm not just having a barbecue, I can do without the rice. It's not necessary. It's completely unnecessary. If I'm just having purely grilled and barbecued food, I like to go more down the route of salads.
And bread. I like bread at barbecues.
Salads on the side.
Baguette.
Maybe like potato, but typically just salads will do me, if I'm being honest. Hardo bread with the jet chicken.
Like a buttered bread. Good buttered bread. What about a little mac and cheese?
I do like a bit of mac and cheese on the side as like a starch. And I think mac and cheese is one of those things that when it cools down, well, must say, as a Caribbean gal, I like the Bayesian style macaroni pie. Yeah,
macaroni pie
we have. Yeah, and I'm more of a macaroni pie type of person, and I think it serves well when it's cold. You can still eat it reasonably. So I do like to have a bit of mac pie on
I think
the
it's
side.
a nice thing to bring to a barbecue.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing all the grilling and you're doing all of that, you're seasoning, pre-seasoning.
Yeah.
If someone could just turn up with the carbs, I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's my mum's vibe. We've kind of been handed to me to some degree.
What, to do the macaroni?
Yeah, but
Okay.
within our like very close family.
Okay.
Because you can't be the person that brings the macaroni to people that you don't know.
Why?
Because then it becomes a battle of the macaronis.
Okay, fair enough.
So within our immediate family, we know what we like.
That makes me think then, I haven't really been to a lot of barbecues, but I think that's because I spent most of my formative years being the person that was having the barbecue. So, and
my family are big on barbecues.
My family live in Wolverhampton. So when I go to Wolverhampton, my auntie would do the cooking. But in London, I was always the person that hosted. So my friends and stuff would always come over to my house for barbecue. But then because they want everything, I would definitely have rice.
Everything.
I'd have curry goat, jerk chicken. I love a bit of like salmon. I love whole fish.
So some of these things I know it's not on the barbecue, but at the barbecue, or a bit of both.
Yeah.
Can this cooking be done beforehand?
Right. For me, what can be done beforehand is the salads and sides.
Right.
I know the people that I'm working with. So when I say it starts at 4, I'm expecting most people at 6. And the people that I know that I do at a time, I let them know. Most people will be coming around this time. So we're probably going to start serving around like an hour before. So when it comes to the grilled stuff, I will cook a portion of it up front. And then throughout the night, it's usually my brother that's on the grill or my dad, will continue to cook up until a certain point in time, and then kitchen knock off. That's it. If you're here late, you're getting it cold and it's going in the microwave.
And that's like chicken.
I like to do like chicken. I love lamb, like chops on there. Whole fish, snapper, or like sea bass stuffed with like spinach and sweet corn. Or I like to do like sea bass stuffed with like prawn mince on the barbecue. That is really, really nice. Prawns, Fats King prawns. We do prawns. I love that as well. And then burgers.
Okay.
And not really sausages, maybe hot dogs, like beef hot dogs. But I do love a good, you know what I love? Sausages. A good quarter pounder from like Costco, the cheap flat ones.
Oh, I don't know.
The kind of ones that you get if you go to a football match. Those burgers. I'm not into the burgers that you get like Marks and Spencer's or Marks and Spencer's or like Tesco Finest, and they're super thick.
So those are British burgers.
Yeah, not a fan.
You want like an American,
the flat ones. Yeah,
smash burger. Almost.
Yeah, kind of. But they always buy them and serve them at football matches.
Yeah.
And I love them. When it's too thick, I'm not into that. And I just love it. Grilled onions, burger, slice of cheap yellow cheese.
Yeah.
And a bit of ketchup and mustard in there. Oh, God.
Because what you're saying, what you said previously about chicken on the bone, is the same reason why those burgers don't necessarily work on the grill. Is because if you're only grilling it with direct heat, you can't cook through a thick patty, like a thick burger. So having the thin one,
burgers,
I don't have burgers.
Oh yeah, you don't.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know about this stuff.
Some places serve them like medium.
Yeah, places will serve them medium, but maybe if your preference, is that it's not black on the outside, but you're cooking it at home. You need it to be a thin cut in order to cook it on direct heat. In the restaurant, they probably will put cloche over it to create that like closed barbecue-esque type cooking method, so that it's surrounded by heat. But if you're only cooking it on both sides, I've done a lot of work with videos of barbecue burgers. So I feel like I know a lot about cooking burgers without ever having actually done it. Well, I've cooked burgers, just not beef burgers. But okay.
I do love a Wagyu beef burger though.
So my thing with your barbecue, which you've actually never invited me to,
okay,
if I was hosting that barbecue, it means or as you said, your dad or your brother, has got to stand up and cook. And I think it turns the barbecue into an event that you can't enjoy if you are hosting it.
But I think you can.
If you are a pit master.
Yeah.
If you are a pit master, the likelihood that the everyday person is a pitmaster is probably low. So
Fair
I
enough,
think my personal barbecue, I've done a few barbecues out with my friends and stuff where I have hosted and cooked everything, is to get it on, especially get the fire on and get that raging fire down before people have actually turned up, and then just get stuff going. And then I think it's nice if there is barbecuing, the action of putting things on the grill while people are there.
Exactly.
But I think those things could potentially be your mushroom skewers.
Oh god.
Your corns. Like the
mushroom
but like
skewers.
prawns take minutes.
Okay.
But I think the bulk of the chicken and the sausages, when I say it starts, that's when it's going on the grill.
Fair enough. Sorry. Got to be on time
It's
for Hardy's
going on-
barbecue.
Oh, you got to be on time for Hardy's life. Period.
Okay. fair
Period.
enough.
So I think it's a bit of both. I think it's nice when someone is cooking,
Yeah.
but if you expect that person to be me, like standing up at my barbecue that I've invited you to, no, because I want to be with you.
The thing is,
I
though,
want to be
I love
where
this.
the people
Can
are.
you just get out? The thing is, I think it might be, again, growing up and like when the jerk pan is just going all night and it's got this, I love the theatrics of a barbecue.
Me
I love
too.
the live fire.
Me
and
too.
I think that's why when I have a barbecue, the ambience I like to create, especially as the sun goes down, is that live fire and the food cooking and the constant smell of the food. So me personally, I'm not the person that's standing up over the grill.
Exactly.
I'll be real with you. It's not me. I've done the salads. I've seasoned up the meat, etc. I'm leaving it to my dad and my brother, and they like the bravado, I guess. So I leave it to my dad and my brother to do that, and I think they like the bravado of the grilling. My brother is a cooking at home on a English barbecue style jerk chicken master. Like you would never know he cooked it in a barbecue pan. It's absolutely fantastic.
I would love to try that.
Yeah, in the summer, I'm sure he'll do it. But
It's summer.
His jerk chicken, 10 out of 10. But yeah, if I'm having a barbecue, I like it to go all night. I love to see the flame, the fire. I like everything to be as fresh as possible. I would rather not have to put things back through the microwave.
Oh
reheat
yeah,
it.
no.
I would rather not. So I think certain things taste better when the heat is going through them.
Right.
So that's why I would. But it's just not going to be me.
Fair enough. I know we haven't really talked about every single type of cooking style. We're definitely going to have to do an episode like about Greek food and go in specifically about souvla and about like Nigerian food and go in on suya specifically because what we know about jerk from our personal experiences is that it takes a certain type of wood and a certain type of seasoning to make that a reality.
That's an episode for the future.
To wrap this whole thing up, we want to hear from you about your barbecues. So I'll leave a poll in the Spotify version of this episode, and also we are live on all of these platforms.
Yeah, we're
Tweet
active.
us. We are active. We are here.
And we want to know what's going to be on the menu. Are you grilling watermelon?
Yeah. And also we want to know where our invites are.
We want to see some of them burnt
invites.
chickens.
I want to see some of them invites.
I want to see the outcome of the information that you've learned today, how you've applied it.
Yes.
What is your chicken looking like? What are your burgers looking like? Tweet us some pictures. Share them on Instagram, and then we can share them to the masses.
For someone who wants to improve their barbecuing skills at home, I would say in the beginning, it's managing your expectations and really learning to be your own cheerleader, because with any form of cooking, it's going to require a lot of practice and doing research, and it's a lengthier process than what we're used to in the kitchen. I learned to embrace the whole experience, and I discovered that I got a lot more out of it, and that made me want to get back out there. So I really treated my time outside as like meditation almost, because there is so much downtime with most barbecue recipes. And in a lot of cases, I was smoking meat that, it would be on the grill for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, sometimes all day. That was a whole different way of cooking to me. And I really learned to just like breathe a little bit and, like literally sit outside and be in the grass, be in the sun, read or catch up on time with my daughter, just being outside. And it was nice, like I learned to just embrace the whole experience rather than only focusing on having like this gorgeous smoked piece of meat at the end, which of course we all want. But in the beginning, you just have to understand that people that are good at barbecue, they took many, many years like getting there. And if you don't get it right the first time, it doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you have other skills to work on. So I focused on like, what was my day like? How did I feel? What was I able to do? How did it benefit me from stepping outside of the kitchen for a few hours? I really enjoyed like the badass parts of barbecue where you're managing fire and overcoming my fear of that and really like building my confidence. But it's a process, you know. It's not the kind of thing where you just read one recipe and you go out and attempt it and you're done. No, like barbecue requires you to commit. It's like you need to plan on spending your summer outside and really just every weekend you get out there and try something new. And we grew up in the kitchen every single day, and to some extent like seeing how things work. Unless you actually spent time with a person in your family who was barbecuing, a lot of us don't have that perspective the first time we step outside on the grill. So be patient with yourself, manage those expectations from the beginning, and just go slow. But really like look at the big picture and look at what you can do with that time, and make sure that you have other goals for the process. Like today, I want to get better at lighting my grill. Today, I want to get better at setting up a 2-zone fire. Today, I want to get better at working on my spice rubs. Like it doesn't have to be just about the meal that ends up on your plate.
I just want to say one thing. This
What's
is a big, it's a pet peeve of mine, but it's an actual health and safety issue.
Okay, go on.
Please don't barbecue on balconies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Or in parks. Yeah.
Like there's certain places that are allowed for barbecuing and certain places that are not.
Mm-hmm.
There is I don't know if this is a worldwide thing, but when you're camping or barbecuing or picnicking or anything, leave no trace.
Mm-hmm.
So don't burn out the grass.
Yeah.
Like don't litter, don't do any of those things. But particularly balconies, if you live in a block of flats, which I must say most of the population do. I do too. I don't have an outdoor space, but if your balcony is covered by someone else's balcony, like directly above you, this is a hazard. This is dangerous.
Yeah.
You are playing quite literally with fire. Thank you, Angela, for your time for today's episode, dropping some barbecue gems. We need to get over to Michigan, where Angela is based, and have whatever the local style of barbecue, whatever the style of barbecue that's coming out of your kitchen, your garden, that's the kind of barbecue we need. Where can we find you? Recipes, books, whatever the vibes are. Where are you at?
You can find me at The Kitchenista on Instagram and on TikTok, or you can support my work and get access to current recipes at patreon.com/kitchenista. I am excited to say that I have a brand new cookbook coming out this summer. It is a summer cooking book. It's full of lots of tips for barbecue, grilling, side dishes, appetizers, spice rubs, sauces, like basically everything you need to conquer your summer. And as I like to call, discovering your culinary sunshine, because summer for me is just like such a happy, positive time to be cooking and be outdoors and have access to like all of these beautiful ingredients that we sometimes can't get in the wintertime. And I am just trying to embrace that nowadays and soak it all up while we still can. So this collection is like a compilation of all of my favorite summer recipes from over the last few years. It's called the Kitchenista Summer Cooking Handbook, and it's available at shopkitchenista.com. There's 3 previous collections that are still for sale, and then the Summer Cooking Handbook will be available in early July. So thank you for having me, and looking forward to hopefully meeting you here in the States one day.
Season 3, episode 1, The Kitchenista. I told you we're not playing about. Go forth and practice safe barbecue. Mm-hmm. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. We want to see all your pictures, and we will catch you.
We want some invites too.
Yeah, we want some invites.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Honestly.
We're not strangers.
Honestly, we're not going to talk about you on the podcast.
Do you think people are scared?
I don't know. The food highlight of the week. That chicken was bad. No, I'm joking.
We will catch you in the next episode, guys.
Bye, guys.